Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to week 2 of our Unnamed College Football Show. I'm open to any suggestions, so if you have a potential name or what we should call ourselves, go ahead and leave a comment down below. And if you like the video, leave a like, subscribe. Look out for another video next week as well after week 6. So, week 5, we had a hell of a week, man. Starting out Friday night with that Miami-Virginia Tech game and ending Saturday night with that Georgia-Alabama game. We had action going all week. It was incredible. I hope you didn't miss anything. I hope you were able to sit down, watch football all day like I did, and just enjoy yourselves. I mean, what a hell of a Saturday. We wasn't expecting that one, but we got it. So, with that being said, let's talk about the end of that Miami-Virginia Tech game. Most people didn't even think Virginia Tech would be in this game. They thought this would be a pretty easy blowout for Miami. They thought Miami would come in here at home as a 14, 15-point favorite and just steamroll Virginia Tech. That's not what happened. Virginia Tech fought the whole game. Kyron Drones had 189 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kind of got outdueled by Cam Ward, though, who had 343, 4 touchdowns, and added 1 on the ground. Now, he did have 2 picks, but obviously he did enough to win the game. Some people are going to tell you that you didn't really have evidence there to overturn that call. And I can kind of see the argument there. I mean, you took 7 minutes to review it to come to the conclusion that it was an incomplete pass, which, if I were in the replay booth and they buzzed me up and they didn't tell me what the call on the field was and said, "What are you going to call this play?" I would have ruled it an incomplete pass. Now, whether you have indisputable evidence there, kind of a gray area because you can't really see whether he has the ball under his control before it gets knocked out or whether it's moving around and then the Miami player kind of nudges it a little further out. You can't really tell there. You're going to see screenshots confirming both because you can make a picture be whatever you want it to be. So don't believe the screenshots. Find a close-up video if you can. Make your own decision. Look, I can see why as a Virginia Tech fan you would think you got screwed there. If I were a Virginia Tech fan, I would have thought I got screwed there. Because if you're reviewing something for 6 minutes, do you really have indisputable evidence? Probably not. But moving on, because we could talk about that all day. Noon kickoff on Saturday, we had UK Ole Miss. This is another game. Nobody gave UK a chance here. I didn't even give UK a chance here. But, UK pulled it out. They led 10-7 at halftime, and they won 20-17. Mark Stoops did something that he's never done before, and that's go for it on a 4th down late in the game. The king of punts finally decided maybe we should do something other than punt, and it actually worked out for him. So you have a lot of questions if you're Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin because you've had a pretty easy schedule up to now, and you've taken care of business. But if you can't take care of business against better teams, you're not going to go where you want to go. If you can't beat Kentucky, you're probably not going to go to the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of their season plays out. After that, we get Michigan, Minnesota. Alex Orji had 86 yards here. That's just a disgusting performance. If you're Michigan, you're looking at the rest of your schedule. You've got at Washington, at Illinois, Oregon at home, at Indiana, and at Ohio State. You've already got 1 loss. So you're looking at these games and you're asking yourself, is 86 yards from our quarterback enough? And yeah, you won this game, but Minnesota isn't exactly top-tier competition. Minnesota is not exactly a world beater, right? They're not Ohio State. Hell, this year they're not even Indiana. So you're looking at that and you're thinking to yourself, do we go back to Warren? I mean, what do we do here? So keep an eye on the Michigan quarterback situation, because 86 yards is just not going to cut it for you. The final game I want to talk about, obviously Georgia-Bama. There's no other way to talk about this Saturday than talking about Georgia-Bama. I mean, that was just an incredible game. Bama comes out and goes up 28-0 instantly. That first half, Carson Beck looked like dog water. He didn't look like he should be leading a major college football program. And Bama just comes out and slaps him in the face, right? They get down early, 28-0. And then you're looking around and you're thinking, is this really happening? I mean, I was watching, I almost turned the game off because it was that bad. And then the second half rolls around, and all of a sudden, Georgia's not dead. Georgia has some life. Georgia might be able to pull this one out. They score late in the game. People are thinking, Georgia did it. Georgia made the comeback. So we know the rest of the story, right? Jalen Milroe throws an incredible pass and an incredible catch by a 17-year-old that everybody knows is 17, but we have to bring it up every time because that's what we've been told to do. And the rest is history. I mean, Georgia, even after that, was driving and had a chance to win the game, but threw a pick last second. So Carson Beck had 3 picks, 439 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Jalen Milroe had himself a Heisman game. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He had 374 passing yards and 2 touchdowns and added 117 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Anytime you have 491 total yards against a top 5 team, that's a Heisman moment right there. If Jalen Milroe wins the Heisman this year, this is going to be the game that gets brought up and gets talked about as to why he should win the Heisman. Now that we've got those games out of the way, it's time for me to gloat a little bit. So if you watched the last video, you know that I said UCF is fraudulent. And I came on here and I said Colorado is going to surprise you and they're going to beat UCF, and people are letting their hatred of Deion cloud their judgment of this team. Well, what happened? Colorado beat the brakes off UCF. That's all I'm going to say about that game. Just had to gloat a little bit because, the picks went 1-4. So I got one right. I got to talk about the one. We're not going to talk about the other 4. With that being said, the picks went 1-4, but we're only down 0.4 units, right? Colorado was plus 360, so we're only down 0.4. And I'm going to make a promise right now. If we finish the season and these picks are in the negative, I will do the 1 chip challenge on the show. So if we finish the season and we haven't made money, I will do the 1 chip challenge. So let's get into the picks this week. Just like last week, I've got 5 picks for you. Number 1, Kansas over Arizona State. I think this is going to be a get-right game for Kansas. Year didn't start how they wanted to, but I think you're going to come back here, and I think you're going to get the win. Number 2, Syracuse plus 172 against UNLV. Now, if you haven't been following along, you wouldn't know that UNLV quarterback Matthew Stuka has redshirted the rest of the year, right? So there's drama around. He says he was offered money to go play for UNLV, and UNLV says they would never do that. That's against Nevada law. So we don't really know the truth yet. That's just what people are saying. But we do know that he won't play the rest of the year. That's all we know. So they lose their starting quarterback. Now, Syracuse is a team that's kind of iffy. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get with them. They beat Georgia Tech, but they've had some questionable games. So I'm going with Syracuse in this game. I think Kyle McCord's going to get it done. After that, we've got Texas A&M versus Missouri. Now, if you watched the last video, you know that the other team I picked to be fraudulent is Missouri. This is either the second or third hardest game on their schedule, depending on how you look at it. Whether you think A&M is better than Oklahoma or Oklahoma is better than A&M. Neither one of them is better than Alabama. So, number 1, Alabama. Number 2 or number 3, you kind of got a toss-up between A&M and Oklahoma. I think A&M, they're a 1-point favorite in this game. I think they get the job done. It's at A&M. Missouri is overrated. If you watched Boston College this week, they almost got beat by Western Kentucky at home. So, and this is the same Boston College team that almost beat Missouri at Missouri. So we're going with A&M here. They got the job done last week against Arkansas. And I think they're going to get the job done again this week to go 5-1 after beating Missouri. After that, we've got Pitt at UNC. We're going Pitt here. UNC hasn't looked great the last couple weeks. They got blown out by James Madison, and they lost by 1 to Duke after I picked them. I think Pitt is better than people give them credit for. They beat Cincinnati on the road, and they beat West Virginia, so they're 2-0 in power games. I believe this is their ACC opener. And I think they're going to go down to North Carolina and get the job done. They're looking like a good team, but there's a lot left to see. Final pick, Boston College, money line at Virginia. Look, if you watched last week, you know I don't think Boston College is an elite team. I don't think they're a great team. But Virginia is a worse team. Virginia, I hate to say it, but they're just subpar. There's not really much you can say about them. I think Boston College is going to go down there, and they're going to get the job done, and kind of get overrated again. So there's your 5 picks: Kansas, Syracuse, A&M, Pitt, Boston College. All money line. We're down 0.4 units right now. We're hoping to get right with this week with these picks, but we'll see what happens. And if we finish the season down, I'll do the 1 chip challenge. So thanks for watching. If you like the video, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next week to talk more college football. Thank you.